Long-term singlehood often functions as a state of high personal autonomy. You maintain complete control over your schedule, and research indicates this level of independence correlates with significantly lower daily anxiety. This phase provides total financial authority and the agility to pivot careers without negotiating with a partner. These individuals also tend to develop robust social networks, investing deeply in friends and community connections. Long-term singlehood is a highly functional psychological baseline rather than a state of lack. These broad social networks serve as built-in safety buffers that protect against the risks of isolation. Curious, given that stability and freedom, the decision to abandon a functional single life for a high-risk relationship seems paradoxical. In the Indian context, marriage is often framed as a panacea, a universal cure for all social stigmas and personal problems. Society markets this transition as the ultimate fix for any sense of incompleteness. Attachment theory describes our biological drive for a safe base. We venture into a stressful world and return here for emotional regulation. Because society promises this base solves everything, we invest massively, spending 6 to 8 years cultivating this single connection. Over these years, betrayal blindness can set in. This occurs when you intentionally overlook red flags, because acknowledging them would threaten the immense time and energy you've already invested. Maintaining the illusion of a perfect relationship often requires a series of micro-compromises. You might repeatedly sacrifice your dignity or stay silent during conflicts just to keep the peace. This combination of cultural pressure and biological attachment creates a psychological trap. If the relationship fails, the collapse is catastrophic because the investment was so total. When caught, betrayal or a double life is suddenly discovered, the panacea illusion shatters instantly. Under betrayal trauma theory, the established safety pathway violently collides with a severe threat pathway. The brain realizes its primary comfort is now its primary danger. This error triggers trauma limbo, initiating a full neurological shutdown to protect itself. The physical manifestations are profound. Severe brain fog makes basic communication difficult, while a crushing exhaustion settles over the chest, making every movement feel heavy. The psychological weight of intrusive thoughts keeps the brain trapped in an endless loop, searching for answers to the betrayal that may never exist. For men, cultural expectations of stoicism intensify this feeling of failure. Betrayal is internalized as a personal inadequacy, making the victim feel easily replaced. This internal failure depletes daily energy. Basic tasks suddenly require an overwhelming amount of effort. Heartbreak, in this context, is a severe mechanical failure of the human nervous system. It is a physical struggle to process two entirely conflicting realities. Beyond internal biology, victims face symbolic violence, a type of harm where individuals internalize the humiliations and power imbalances imposed by their environment. The silent compromises made to protect the relationship's public image erode the victim's internal self-respect. When the relationship fails, private humiliation becomes a public auction of one's eject or honor. The social identity you built feels exposed and devalued. The shared home becomes an architecture of grief. Notice how the lighting isolates this object, transforming a familiar space into a focal point of absence. Sensory cues, the light on a wall or the sound of an empty hallway, act as triggers. These triggers violently pull the nervous system completely back to the exact moment the betrayal was first realized. The victim is trapped between a brain that cannot process the internal trauma and a social world that reinforces their external shame. The intense desire to isolate yourself after betrayal is an intelligent biological defense mechanism, even if society pressures you to move on quickly. Productive solitude provides a framework for healing that looks very different from standard loneliness. While loneliness centers on the anxiety of losing another person, solitude shifts the focus inward toward the discovery of self and emotional regulation. This period functions as an emotional intelligence boot camp. It gives the brain the necessary quiet to integrate the trauma without the burden of managing someone else's reactions. This silence allows for the identification of relationship patterns. It reveals that the idea of an external panacea, someone else fixing your life, was always an illusion. Choosing to trust someone for 6 to 8 years demonstrates a significant human capacity for deep commitment. That level of investment is a reflection of your own character, even if it was met with betrayal. Surviving this level of devastation results in an evolution. You stop seeking a safe base in someone else's presence and begin to build one within your own nervous system.